Welcome to Rock Your Reinvention. I'm Karen Freeland, your guide to ditching corporate and designing a life you love. If you're ready to shift your mindset, boost your confidence, and finally take action on that dream career or business, you're in the right place. It's your time. Let's rock your reinvention. If you're new here, I'm Karen, and this is the podcast for high-achieving women who look successful on paper, but feel that quiet pull that there has to be more. Today, we're talking about something I haven't explicitly named on the show before, but I guarantee you felt it. Okay, be honest with yourself for a second. How long did that promotion actually make you happy? A day? A week? A few months? What about the raise? The new role? The recognition? The title you worked so hard for? Are you still over the moon? Probably not. Shortly after, you were right back to scanning for what's next. If that sounds familiar, you're not ungrateful or broken. You may just be stuck on what's called the hedonic treadmill. Hedonic comes from the word hedonism. You've heard this before. It's the pursuit of pleasure or sensual self-indulgence. And understanding the hedonic treadmill just might be the most freeing thing you hear all week. At least, I hope it is. So what the heck is the hedonic treadmill? It's the idea that when something really good happens, or really bad, our happiness spikes or dips temporarily. But over time, we tend to return to our baseline of happiness. Think of it like your set point. In other words, your brain adapts. You get into a new relationship and spike. Your new promotion, spike. New car, house, title, you name it, spike. But eventually, that thing becomes your new normal. And your brain starts asking, so what's next? If achievement actually created lasting happiness, our joy would be compounding. Think about that. Every time you got something new, you would just get happier and happier and happier. We'd all be walking around exponentially happier after every single success. But that's not how it works. And deep down, you know it. This hits high-achieving women like you and me especially hard because we've been trained to believe that effort plus achievement equals fulfillment. And that's what the corporations we work for want us to believe, because that's how they keep us trapped. If only someone talked to us about hedonic adaptation, this could all be avoided. But that's why I'm here, to give you the truth that no one else wants to share. I mean, think about it. Corporate environments are basically designed to keep you on the hedonic treadmill. There's always another level, another title, another bonus, another reward or type of recognition, another goalpost. And look, none of these things are bad per se. I'm not anti-success or anti-achievement. But when success becomes your primary source of fulfillment, you can start feeling restless, even when things are good. If you are on the hedonic treadmill, you can never find contentment. What a crappy way to live. And P.S., I lived this way for years, okay? So I'm not judging you. I'm speaking from my own experience. It was a crappy way to live, but I didn't know any better, and no one taught me otherwise. And the clients I work with feel this too. So many of the women I work with tell me, I should be happy. I worked hard for this. Other people would love this job. No one else from my family has achieved this kind of success. I can't quit. But deep down, something feels blah, missing, right? And that's hedonic adaptation. Your whole nervous system has just adjusted to that new way of life. And now it's craving more meaning, more fulfillment, the next big thing. And this is where hedonic well-being and eudaimonic well-being come in. And this honestly completely changed the way I think about success. I mean, I remember sitting in my life coaching certification and feeling like my whole definition of success and everything I knew about my life just kind of blew up in my face. So, hedonic well-being is about pleasure and comfort, feeling good, avoiding pain, wanting things to be easier, better, more impressive. And again, those things aren't always wrong, right? We all want pleasure, and that's okay to an extent, right? Because everything has to be in moderation. And the problem with hedonic happiness is that it's so short-lived. It doesn't stick. That's why you always have to be chasing more. It's kind of like dopamine, you get a hit of it and then you just need another one to boost your mood. But eudaimonic well-being, on the other hand, is different. It's about growth and meaning, contribution, living in alignment with your values. And I think it's really interesting because if you've ever heard Tony Robbins talk about the 6 human needs, 2 of those are growth and contribution, right? They're all about that eudaimonic well-being. It's so critical for us to truly find happiness and fulfillment in our life. And Aristotle talked about this thousands of years ago. He believed that fulfillment did not come from comfort. It came from living in accordance with your values and becoming the best version of yourself. I couldn't agree more. And yet, what's so funny is that we're all chasing comfort, right? Why do we want to work these big 6-figure jobs so that we can pay for whatever we want, whatever we need? We can go on big vacations. We can do all these things so that we can be comfortable. Yet what I've found is that the times in my life when I have been the most comfortable have often been the most painful because I didn't have meaning and fulfillment. I had almost none of the eudaimonic well-being playing out in my life. And here's the great thing about eudaimonic happiness. It isn't passive, right? It's active. It asks different questions, right? Not like, how good does this feel right now? But is this the life I want to be living? Am I using my gifts? Is this in alignment with my values? Does my work matter to me? How am I helping others? Right? So if you're in this season of feeling kind of blah at work, you haven't lost your ambition, right? I don't find that in any of the women that I work with. None of them have lost their ambition, right? You just outgrew hedonic goals. So congratulations. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. I kind of feel like there should be an award for that, like it's a new level of maturity that you have achieved. So now that you know this, why stay on the hedonic treadmill? Well, because it's rewarded in society, at work, sometimes in our families or in the circles we run with, because it's familiar. It's the devil we know versus the one you don't. You know what to expect. And because slowing down, to be honest, feels kind of risky, right? And uncomfortable, especially when you've been running 100,000 miles an hour for decades, right? Decades. Think about that. And this is especially true for women who have built identities around being capable, reliable, successful, driven. Right? You've been praised for your endurance, but not your alignment. And while the treadmill can serve its purposes, right? It can help you survive those hard seasons. It can prevent you from staying stuck in despair after setbacks. There's a big downside, and that is that it can cap your joy big time. It keeps us chasing the next big thing instead of asking whether the path itself even fits us anymore. If you get nothing else out of today's episode, just answer this question for yourself in your journal, grab it out, and just say, does the path I'm on still fit my desired life? Does it fit my values, my goals? And if so, how? I want you to really name it and test it, right? You have to call it out in order to really say and look at it on paper, like, yes, this does fit my life. These are my values. And if you find that it doesn't, that you are not on the path that you want to be on, what's missing? What do you want it to look like? If you can uncover that, you're on your way to a big shift. Now, I want to leave you with a final challenge. Are you ready? Get out something to write on. Get ready to take some digital notes. I don't care how you capture this. But the first thing I want to invite you to do is to identify all the hedonic drivers in your life. Ask yourself, what gives me a quick hit of validation, but has no lasting satisfaction? What am I chasing because I think I should want it? If this disappeared tomorrow, would it really affect my sense of meaning or just my ego? I know it might be a little hard to be honest about these things, but the sooner you can get honest with yourself, the sooner you can turn this around. Now, these might be things like your title, your salary, your constant busyness, external validation like awards or accolades, lifestyle upgrades, right? That new car, that bigger house, the clothes or shoes that you're able to afford. And then you're going to identify how you could replace that with something that's eudaimonic. And this is the key. I don't want you just to remove all the hedonic things from your life, right? You have to actually replace it with something else, or it's going to be a really hard shift. So for you, what would a more eudaimonic version of your life look like? That might be something like mentoring someone, or creating or building something, teaching others, building something more aligned with your values, or serving in a way that matters to you. I'm not suggesting that you walk in and quit your job tomorrow with all this information, right? But it's the perfect time to start shifting to a more eudaimonic way of life. And if you do that before long, you'll probably realize corporate's no longer a fit. I know from my experience, when the fancy dinners out and the constant drinking just like wore off, there was not even a dopamine hit anymore. And I could walk through a mall and I was disgusted by all the waste. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to all end up in a landfill someday. And I would end up leaving empty-handed. I knew I had to make a change. And then I started volunteering more and replacing those things with mentoring a teenager at the middle school. And I started coaching and doing this podcast. And it all just felt like I had so much more meaning and purpose in life. The successes and the joy that I experienced were longer lasting. And you just have to sometimes experience this for yourself. So I hope that you will take this to heart and that you will begin to make this shift and replace some of those hedonic things in your life. So let me wrap up with this. If you've been feeling restless, unfulfilled, or disconnected at work, remember, you don't need more achievement. You need more alignment. No one is meant to run fast forever. Yet that's exactly what you've been doing. But all you have to do to stop is just take one little baby step to the side and get off the hedonic treadmill. If this episode resonated, I'd love for you to share it with a woman who looks successful on paper, but deep down, you know she feels stuck. Now, if you're ready to explore what stepping off the hedonic treadmill could look like, make sure you grab a copy of the Empowered Exit Guide and start mapping out your corporate exit strategy today. You can get yours at KarenFreeland.com/empowered-exit. Of course, it'll be in the show notes too. Thanks for being here today, and I encourage you to step off the hedonic treadmill so you can rock your reinvention. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're inspired to take action by committing to one of the tips or strategies we talked about in today's episode. If you want more accountability and support, I've got your back. Book a complimentary Empowered Exit Strategy call today. Visit KarenFreeland.com to learn more and book your 45-minute session. Until next time, stay fabulous.